Man, I really wanted to like this movie. Hey, what's up everyone? Paul from Grindhouse Funhouse. What do you get when you mix a slave drama with a 70s Blaxploitation throwback? The movie Alice, from first-time writer-director Krystin Ver Linden, starring Keke Palmer, Common, and Jonny Lee Miller. Alice, played by Palmer, is enslaved on a 19th century plantation in Georgia. She manages to escape and finds out that it's actually 1973 through a truck driver she serendipitously meets, played by Common, who helps her adjust to the time period. While adjusting to her new reality, she gets her black history learning on, gets angry, and persuades him to go back with her to the plantation so that she can exact revenge on her cruel former owner. From this point forward, this is your spoiler warning, so if you want to come in fresh into Alice, skip to the time shown here. Alice is split into 3 parts. The first 35 minutes is a straight-up slave drama with Keke Palmer playing Alice, trying to survive a cruel and evil slave owner played fairly believably by Jonny Lee Miller. I'll admit there's a few scenes with him that held my attention. So basically we see him going on power trips, like beating Alice's husband, Joseph, for just catching a rabbit.
Oh, Mr. Paul, I go to rest!
Spotting some religious mumbo-jumbo beforehand, feeling all righteous, preaching to his fellow whites that their domestic livestock should be fruitful, i.e. keep fucking so they can have more slave at their disposal, that kind of preaching. Alice and Joseph tries to escape, at least Joseph does, but fails at it while Alice watches the whole thing. We think Mr. Paul kills him, but we don't see it. And Alice is punished by being put in restraint for a few days outside until he lets her out of them. Says he wants to work things out, but instead she rightly stabs him in the eye with a piece of glass and escapes. The second part of this movie starts with her running until she ends up on the side of a highway. Surprise! It's modern times, 1973 to be exact. And Common, who plays Frank, a truck driver who almost runs her over, takes her in. And I gotta say, what a lucky break that she stumbles onto him, since he'll be helping by giving her shelter and really helping her out in any way he can for some reason. At first, he drops her off at a hospital, but their way of treating her is to give her a psych evaluation. Frank don't like that. He reminds him of the treatment his mom got before she died, so he takes her to his home. It's there where, in a span of a day, maybe 2, Alice figures out that she's been living this lie her whole life, and being that Mr. Paul conveniently taught her how to read so that later on she can read back to him for his entertainment, uses that power to read a black history book and learns all about slavery and the Emancipation Proclamation, then on to the present times with the Black Power and Civil Rights Movement, Malcolm X, the Black Panthers. She finds Frank's memory box, who used to be a political activist in the 60s, with news clippings of all these prominent events and black figures of that day. We even see him in those clippings. She also finds out his gun she'll use later on. We also get flashes of the Queen herself, Miss Pam Grier. I'm a big fan. On Frank's TV, who clearly Alice finds inspiration in. We get a remember this scene, Frank asking her if she remembers this song from Stevie Wonder, or know what a phone is, or the phone book. What she does remember is the name of Mr. Paul's ex-wife, Rachel Bennett. So she searches through that phone book for all the Rachel Bennetts in there and calls them one by one. Being that she's not on the plantation anymore and lives in the real world, she wants to reach out. Before that, we get a transformation scene, chopping off her hair, which turns into a fully stylized afro within 30 minutes. And I'm no black woman, as you can clearly see, but to black women watching out there, hello. Can you style yourself a sweet afro like that in that short of a time? Seems like it would be a lot of work. Moving on to Alice meeting Rachel Bennett in a diner in the form of Alicia Witt playing her and gives her the business.
I am freedom. Daniel!
Alice.
Frank.
Daniel, come!
So then Alice decides she wants to do some more book learning. Frank brings her to a showing of Coffee with Miss Pam Grier again. And that scene just made me want to stop watching this movie and watch Coffee again. Not a good sign. We see Alice in a Pam Grier inspired getup, waiting at a bus stop, wanting to go back to the plantation to free her people. Frank is being wishy-washy, not sure wanting to do this with her until he does. He shows up in his truck at the bus stop, picking her up. Now we are at the third and final stage of the movie with 10 minutes left, where Alice takes her revenging on literally burning this motherfucker to the ground, goes after Mr. Paul, who apparently Rachel didn't warn him that she got in touch with her and she might go after him. They go back in the room where he used to abuse and rape her. She doesn't even kill him, just maims him, makes him suffer, puts him in the restraints he put her in earlier. The cops and firefighter arrives. We found out that Joseph is alive for some reason, because they did cut to black before whatever Mr. Paul was going to do to him. Then a firefighter asks what her name is, and feeling all empowered now, declares to the world,
I'm Alice.
So would I recommend Alice? Sadly, no. Even though this was inspired by true events, like the title card says at the beginning of the movie. Her name was May Louise Wall Miller, and she got her freedom back in 1961. Someone in Hollywood should actually make a straight-up movie about her life and not a hybrid of history/fiction like Alice. Throughout the movie, I felt nothing was really grabbing at me. I just felt like they were going through the motion because they had to keep the story going. You feel like no time is passing at all through everything that's happening. She goes from being a slave one day to learning everything about Black history within like 48 hours. At least it feels like it. I imagine it would be a massive shock going from plantation life, which you've known your entire life, to 1973 within 24 hours, but you don't feel or see that change in her character. Also, it's a very insular movie. There's not that many people populating its world. And when it comes to plantation life, how did Mr. Paul manage a no-fly zone around his plantation? Were politicians involved? People living around these parts would have known what was happening? Were they in on it? Besides the other races we see in the tiny church, that is, what did he do to keep them quiet? Are those things I'm not supposed to be thinking about while watching this movie? That's something that could have been interesting to explore in a scene or two. Mr. Paul, played by Jonny Lee Miller, is good at playing creepy evil, but the character has no depth. He's just an evil plantation owner. That's it. That's his only characteristic. Alice could have been the way Quentin Tarantino does it with his wish fulfillment movies like Inglourious Basterds, Django Unchained, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where history is rewritten so the good guy can win. Those movies have way more flair, great pacing and writing. You root for whoever will do the revenging at the end, but we don't get that here. And I mean, a modern Blaxploitation movie like the movie poster was selling, I was all in for, but this isn't what I got. The ingredients were there, but it's just the recipe that ain't right, sad to say. I'm giving it 4 afros out of 10. So that was my review for Alice. Go visit all my socials at Grindhouse Funhouse. In the comment section below, let me know your thoughts on Alice. Did you feel empowered and inspired by Alice's journey, or like me, you felt let down? Do let me know. More movie reviews coming up soon, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and I'll say to you, ciao bye for now.